This video is going to pick up on some improvements that I've made to the contacts table based on our template of fields that we want to capture that are unique to the individual service member. And then we'll dive into breaking out the POV data after I get through this first part. So took the additional fields that were unique to the service member uniquely. So from driver's license information down to gender. For the driver's license, state as a lookup, leveraging the state lookup and just retitled it. And then leverage the same thing for the home of record and for the birth location. I figured we'd want to know city, state, country for each of those pieces of information. The gender is a lookup of two values, male and female. And I also added in the DODID number to be a 10-character field with a input mask that ensures that we get 10 characters. So these are the additional fields that got added into contacts. Then I created another field for the vehicles, plural, that the soldier has to allow us to store a one-to-many relationship on the soldier to their vehicles. So as it stands right now, make, model, style, all of that information is available to us. Again, leverage the state lookup and just retitled it and documented that information there. I went a little bit further and added in an ability to track vehicle inspections. So we could say this vehicle was inspected on this date by this individual and whether it passed or failed, and take notes within the system. As I created all of these different tables, I then created relationships so that we had it defined. So contacts, the service member, with one-to-many vehicles, with one-to-many inspections able to be tracked against those individual vehicles. So now we've got the relationship set up. The next thing that I did is went into the contact details interface and created a new tab. So right click on the tabs, inserted a page, renamed the page as vehicle data, brought in those fields by adding existing fields and then click, drag, drop to this portion of the interface. The additional fields that I had brought in of religion and home of record, birthplace, gender, etc., those got dropped onto the personal data worksheet. So that created this top portion right here. Then the next thing that I did is I went and created a form, a new form with contact vehicles. And so created that new form. I pointed it to the data set of contact vehicles. I then brought over the fields that are relevant to that object. Then the next thing that I did is I created the vehicle inspection subform. Again, created a new form, added, linked to the fields that were on the vehicle inspections table, drug those fields in to this interface. Then the next thing that I did is I went back to contact vehicles and I click, drug, and dropped the vehicle inspection subform on it. I then made contact vehicles in this detail section here a continuous form. And this form here is a single form. And so you'll be able to see all of the vehicles that the service member has linked to them. And then when you click on the specific vehicle, then the vehicle inspection record for that vehicle will display. Having done all of that, when you open up contact vehicle details and you click on the vehicle data sheet, you have the driver's license information, the state lookup, and then you've got the make models that you can type in. So this lookup is looking for distinct make vehicles. So we can leverage a lookup value that already exists. Or if there was a new vehicle type that we wanted to track, we could add that in. And the next time that somebody comes back to this, back to the record of the next service member, we will be able to see the Kia show up in the list of options. So we've got makes, models, styles, colors, etc. As I was doing this, I realized that there's an opportunity here to bring in conditional formatting. So conditional formatting allows you to highlight specific data that meets the computer's knowledge tracking. So if a field is greater than a certain date or between certain dates, or it equals a certain value, then conditional formatting allows you to change the color, the formatting of the cell. So to put that into place, just going into contact details and into the contact vehicles on design view. We had a license plate expiration date field. On the tab, we've got, when we're on the form, we've got a format button. And so we're on license expiration, format, conditional formatting. And this is the business rule that's set into place for that field. So if the date is less than today, then it is expired, and therefore it gets a red formatted color. And then if the date is between today's date and 30 days from now, then we amber highlight it to give ourselves a visual reminder when you look at that field that the license is about to expire. And then if it doesn't meet those criteria, it follows whatever the default color schema is for that cell. Creating rules is fairly simple. You just click on the create a new rule button. And then in the first case, it was if the value is less than date, and change the color, made it bold. And then in this case here, it's between certain values. So if you've got conditional formatting rules that have already been established and you want to maybe change the rule to be 60 days, you can edit the rule and then make the change to the field. And then when you save it, it will apply that rule whenever it sees values within that section. The next thing that you should sort of be aware of is, as I was bringing over the make fields, I made a decision that instead of creating a lookup table for all of vehicle makes, what I decided to do was create a row source where it looked up distinct values of make in contact vehicles and displayed whatever somebody else had typed in. So this allows you to reference other people's makes without having to create a lookup table explicitly and manage it. So as new vehicle makes are created, and somebody has a vehicle that you document in the system, that will then get added to the list of available options. So it will only store what you've got data for. To do this, when I drug over added existing fields, initially when I drug it over, it came over as a text box. So instead, what I chose to do was to create a combo box and not do a lookup explicitly. I then found the code for selecting distinct, just copied it, and then went to row source and pasted it in, changed, made sure that this lookup was looking up the right field, and then control source ensured that it was set to make. And this allows the data, when it displays it, to then store it back into control source. The next thing that I also did was I made sure to change the name from combo 22 to make. And that's how this object got created. Now, as I did that, the next thing that you should be cognizant of is that as you bring in fields after the fact, so let's say you're building this form, you've drug in a number of different fields, and then you do like I did, is you brought in a field and then you deleted a field and then you added in, say, combo 22, and then you renamed it to make, and you did all of that stuff and you put it in this sequence. When the user is leveraging this interface, you want them to go from left to right when they're hitting the tab button. Whenever you bring in a field after the fact, or it's out of sequence, and you reorder it visually on the screen, the next thing you'll have to do is set the tab order. Now, when you bring in a combo 22 field, it will say combo 22. So that's why it's important to name it to something that you can recognize. You can then click, drag, and resequence fields so that you can tab in different orders if you want to. But if your fields are like this, where they're in sequence, left to right, they're all at the same height, you can click the auto button and it will resequence all of the fields from left to right, top to bottom. So as an example, if I drug those out and customize the order, if I clicked auto order, it'll resequence them to the way that they show up on the screen. Very helpful capability as you're trying to create a seamless user experience for your users. And so that's setting the tab order for your controls. And that is it for this video.